Maya wiped the sweat from her face as she climbed out of another dead alien ship. The metal hull was still warm from the cutting torch she had been using all morning. Around her, the massive scrapyard of stations stretched for miles in every direction. Broken ships from dozens of different alien races sat in neat rows, waiting to be stripped for useful parts. She had been working in the scrapyard for 3 years now. Most people found the work boring, but Maya loved it. Every ship was like a puzzle waiting to be solved. The alien technology fascinated her in ways she could not explain to others. Her friends thought she was crazy for spending so much time around the old wrecks. Maya called her supervisor, Tom Bradley, from across the yard. "Got a new one for you. Just came in this morning." Maya grabbed her tool kit and walked toward him. Tom was standing next to something she had never seen before. The ship was different from all the others in the yard. While most alien vessels were made of bright metals or strange crystals, this one was pure black. It looked like someone had carved it from a single piece of dark stone. "What do you think it is?" Tom asked, scratching his beard. Maya walked around the ship slowly. It was about the size of a small fighter, but its shape was wrong for combat. The hull was smooth and curved, with no visible weapons or engines. Strange lines ran across its surface like veins in a leaf. "Never seen anything like it," she said. "Where did it come from?" "Salvage crew found it drifting near the outer markers. No power, no life signs. Looks ancient. Corporate wants us to strip it fast and ship the parts to the research station on Ceres." Maya nodded but kept staring at the ship. Something about it made her skin tingle. The black surface seemed to pull at her eyes, as if it wanted her to look closer. "You okay, Maya?" Tom asked. "Yeah, just tired," she lied. "I'll get started right away." Tom left her alone with the mysterious ship. Maya opened her tool kit and pulled out a scanner. She ran it over the hull, but the device gave her strange readings. According to the scanner, the ship was made of materials that should not exist. She tried to find an entrance but could not see any doors or hatches. The hull was perfectly smooth. Maya put her hand against the black surface, hoping to feel a hidden panel or switch. The moment her palm touched the ship, everything changed. Light exploded across the hull in flowing patterns of blue and green. The lines she had seen before began to glow, pulsing like a heartbeat. Maya tried to pull her hand away, but she could not move. The light traveled up her arm and into her mind. Images flashed before her eyes. She saw vast cities floating in space, surrounded by rings of pure energy. Strange beings with tall, thin bodies walked through gardens that grew on the backs of living ships. She saw battles between forces of light and something terrible that devoured stars. Then suddenly it all stopped. Maya stumbled backward, gasping for air. The ship had returned to its normal black color, but now she could see things that had been hidden before. Symbols glowed faintly along the hull, and a section near the front had become transparent, revealing an entrance. "What the hell was that?" she whispered. Before she could think about it more, her neural implant began to buzz. All workers on station had the basic implants for communication and data access, but Maya had never felt anything like this. It was as if something was trying to talk to her through the device. Words formed in her mind, but they were not in any language she knew. Somehow, she understood them anyway. Awakening, confirmed, resonance pattern, acceptable, designation, vigil eternal, status, operational after 47,000 years of dormancy. Maya looked around to see if anyone else had noticed what happened. The other workers in the scrapyard were going about their normal duties. Her scanner was beeping wildly, but when she looked at the display, it showed nothing but error messages. She approached the ship again, more carefully this time. The transparent section had become an opening just large enough for a person to step through. Maya looked inside and saw a small chamber filled with soft blue light. The walls were covered with the same flowing patterns that had appeared on the hull. "This is insane," she muttered, but curiosity won over caution. Maya climbed into the ship. The moment she was inside, the opening sealed behind her. She should have been terrified, but instead she felt strangely calm. The blue light seemed to welcome her. A chair rose from the floor in front of what must have been a control panel. When Maya sat down, the symbols on the walls began to move and change. Her implant buzzed again, and more words formed in her mind. Welcome, Inheritor. This unit has waited long for one who could hear its call. You have been chosen to receive the knowledge of the architects. Architects, Maya said out loud. What are you talking about? I'm just a mechanic. You are more than you know. Your genetic pattern carries the markers of our creators. Through you, the ancient purpose can be fulfilled. Maya tried to stand up, but the chair held her gently in place. Let me out of here. I don't know what you want, but I'm not the right person. You are precisely the right person. Your people call this place a scrapyard, but it is more than that. You have spent years learning to understand the technology of extinct races. This was not chance. This was preparation. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She thought about all the times she had fixed alien devices that others said were impossible to repair. She remembered the strange dreams she had been having lately, dreams of flying through star fields in ships that felt familiar. What do you want from me? She asked. The galaxy faces a threat your people cannot imagine. The Devourers stir in their prison between worlds. Only the Sentinels can stand against them. Only you can awaken the Sentinels. Before Maya could ask what that meant, alarms began blaring outside the ship. Through the transparent walls, she could see Tom running toward her position with a team of security guards. Someone's coming, she said. They must not interfere. Will you accept the burden of knowledge, Inheritor? Maya looked at the approaching security team, then at the incredible technology surrounding her. She thought about her boring life on station, fixing the same broken equipment day after day. This ship was offering her something impossible and terrifying and wonderful. Yes, she whispered. The ship systems came alive around her with a sound like singing stars. The moment Maya said yes, the world exploded into color and sound. Information flowed through her neural implant like a river of light. She saw the history of a galaxy she never knew existed, felt the memories of beings who had died before humans learned to make fire. The ship's voice spoke in her mind again, clearer now. Designation confirmed. I am Vigil Eternal Sentinel-class Guardian vessel, built by the architects 50,000 years ago. My mission, to protect this galaxy from the Devourers. Maya gripped the arms of the chair as more knowledge poured into her brain. She saw the architects as they truly were tall, graceful beings who built their civilization around the idea that all life was sacred. They had spread across the galaxy not as conquerors but as gardeners, helping younger races grow and learn. The Devourers, she gasped, what are they? Images filled her mind of something that made her soul cold. The Devourers were not like any life form she could understand. They were hunger itself, consuming not just planets and stars, but the very thoughts and dreams of living beings. They turned entire solar systems into empty voids. They came from beyond our galaxy, Vigil explained. The architects fought them for 1,000 years. In the end, we could not destroy them, only trap them in a pocket dimension. The Sentinel fleet was built as a final defense, should they ever return. Maya felt the ship scanning her body and mind with gentle energy. But why me? I'm nobody special. I'm just a human from a backwater station. Your species fascinates us, Vigil said. Humans share genetic markers with the architects that should be impossible. Your people appeared on Earth just as our civilization was falling. This cannot be coincidence. The implications hit Maya like a hammer blow. You think humans are descended from the architects, or created by them as your minds work differently than other species. Where they see problems, you see puzzles to solve. Where they see endings, you see new beginnings. This is why you can interface with our technology. Outside the ship, Maya could hear Tom shouting orders. The security team was setting up a perimeter around the vessel. She realized she had been inside for over an hour, though it felt like minutes. "I have to go out there," she said. "They'll be worried." "They will try to take me from you," Vigil warned. "Your government sees only a weapon to be studied and controlled. They do not understand what is coming." Maya thought about the colonial authority, the sprawling bureaucracy that governed human space. They were good at many things, but understanding alien threats was not one of them. "Can you hide what you really are?" "For now, but as my systems continue to awaken, that will become impossible. Already, other Sentinel ships across the galaxy are stirring in response to my activation. Your people will detect the energy signatures soon." The ship's entrance opened again, and Maya stepped out into the scrapyard. Tom and a dozen security guards surrounded her immediately. Their faces were a mix of worry and suspicion. "Maya, thank God you're okay," Tom said. "We thought you were trapped in there. The ship sealed itself after you went inside." "I'm fine," Maya said, trying to sound normal. "It was just some kind of automatic system. I managed to get it working again." Security chief stepped forward. He was a large man with hands and suspicious eyes. "We'll need a full report on what happened. That ship is giving off energy readings we've never seen before." Maya nodded, but she could feel Vigil's presence in her mind, sharing her senses. Through the ship's sensors, she could see the fear and excitement in the humans around her. They knew they had found something important, but they had no idea how dangerous it really was. "Of course," she said, "but I'll need more time to understand the systems. The technology is unlike anything in our databases." Was about to reply when his communicator buzzed. He listened to the message and his face went pale. "We've got company. Long-range sensors show 3 colonial authority ships heading this way, heavy cruisers." Tom cursed under his breath. How did they find out so fast? "Probably intercepted our initial report," said. "They'll want to claim the ship for military research." Maya felt Vigil's systems come to life around her, reading the approaching ships like an open book. The ship shared what it learned with her. The 3 cruisers carried enough firepower to destroy station if they decided the ship was too dangerous to leave intact. "How long until they arrive?" Maya asked. 6 hours, said. "We need to decide what to do with that ship before they get here." As the security team dispersed to prepare for the authorities' arrival, Maya walked back to the ship. Vigil had gone dark again, looking like nothing more than an ancient piece of wreckage, but she could feel its consciousness watching and waiting. "What happens when the authority gets here?" she asked quietly. Vigil's voice whispered in her mind. "They will try to cut me apart to understand how I work. They will fail, but they will damage systems that cannot be repaired. We cannot allow this." "So what do we do?" "You must learn to pilot me. The galaxy has little time left before the Devourer prison fails completely. I have detected the first cracks in their dimensional cage. They are already sending scouts into our reality." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "How can you tell?" 3 outer colonies have gone silent in the past month. Your people believe it was equipment failure or pirate attacks. They are wrong. The silence spreads from system to system in a pattern I recognize from the ancient war." She looked up at the stars visible through the station's atmospheric dome. Somewhere out there, an enemy older than human civilization was beginning to stir, and somehow she was supposed to stop them. "I don't know how to pilot a starship," Maya said. "I can barely handle the shuttles around the station." "You will learn. The knowledge is already in your genetic memory, waiting to be awakened. The architects designed your people to be our inheritors." Maya closed her eyes and tried to process everything she had learned. A few hours ago, she had been a simple mechanic. Now she was apparently the heir to an ancient alien legacy and the only hope against a cosmic threat. "This is insane," she muttered. "Yes," Vigil agreed. But sanity is a luxury we cannot afford. The devourers care nothing for what seems reasonable or possible. They care only for consumption. In the distance, Maya could see the first signs of the approaching authority ship's tiny points of light growing brighter as they decelerated from faster-than-light travel. Soon, everything would change. She had to be ready. The colonial authority ships arrived exactly when had predicted. Maya watched from her quarters as the three massive vessels took positions around station. Each one was over a mile long and bristled with weapons that could turn the station to ash in minutes. "This is Admiral of the CAS Determination," came the announcement over the station's communication system. "By order of Colonial Command, we are assuming control of the alien artifact discovered in your scrapyard. All personnel are to remain in quarters until further notice." Maya had not slept at all during the 6-hour wait. She had spent the time in mental contact with Vigil, learning about the ship's systems and the history of the ancient war. The more she learned, the more terrified she became. The Devourers were not just another alien enemy. They were a force of pure destruction that had consumed thousands of galaxies. "The cracks in their prison are spreading faster than I calculated," Vigil told her through their mental link. "I estimate we have perhaps 6 months before they break free completely." Maya stared out her window at the black ship sitting in the scrapyard. Authority soldiers had surrounded it with a mobile command center and scanning equipment. They had no idea they were poking at something that could level their entire fleet. "Can they hurt you with their scans?" she asked. "Not yet, but Admiral has ordered a full forensic analysis. They will attempt to cut through my hull within hours. My defensive systems will activate automatically if they do." Maya felt sick to her stomach. She had seen what Vigil's weapons could do in the memory downloads. The ship could generate energy blasts that could crack a moon in half. "You'll destroy the station," she said. "I will defend myself. The survival of this galaxy is more important than one human outpost." Maya knew the ship was right, but the thought of everyone she knew dying made her heart race. There had to be another way. "Let me talk to them," she said. "Maybe I can convince them to back off." They will not listen to a scrapyard mechanic. Humans respect only authority and force. "Some humans are like that," Maya admitted, "but not all of us. Give me a chance." Before Vigil could respond, Maya's door chimed. She opened it to find 2 authority Marines waiting for her. Their faces were hidden behind combat helmets, and they carried weapons designed to stop anything from an angry alien to a runaway robot. "Maya," one of them asked. "That's me. Admiral wants to see you, now." They escorted her through the station to the main docking bay, where had set up a temporary headquarters. The Admiral was a tall woman with gray hair and eyes like chips of ice. She studied Maya as if she were another piece of alien technology to be analyzed. "Miss," said without introduction, "you were the first to make contact with the artifact. I want a complete report on everything you experienced inside that ship." Maya had prepared for this moment during the long wait. "I'm not sure what you mean, Admiral. The ship's systems were mostly dead when I went inside. I managed to get some of the lights working, but that's about it." His expression did not change. "Our sensors detected massive energy surges from that vessel while you were inside. Energy patterns that don't match anything in our databases. What did you do?" "Nothing special. I just touched some of the control panels. Maybe the ship has some kind of automatic startup sequence." "Miss, let me be very clear. That ship represents the most significant alien technology discovery in human history. If you are withholding information about its capabilities, you are committing treason against the colonial authority." Maya felt Vigil's anger through their mental link. The ship's defensive systems were warming up, preparing to protect itself and its chosen pilot. She had to defuse the situation before people triggered a massacre. "Admiral, I understand how important this discovery is," Maya said carefully. But I think you're making a mistake if you try to study the ship by cutting it apart. Leaned forward, and why is that? Because it's not completely dead. The technology is still active on some level. If you damage the wrong system, you might trigger a self-destruct sequence or worse. Our experts believe the ship has been dead for thousands of years. Your experts are wrong, Maya said, gambling everything on its intelligence. That ship is older than human civilization, but it's not dead. It's sleeping. And if you wake it up the wrong way, everyone on this station could die. Studied Maya's face for a long moment. Finally, she gestured to one of her aides. Show her. The aide activated a holographic display showing real-time footage from the scrapyard. Maya could see teams of technicians setting up cutting equipment around Vigil's hull. They planned to slice into the ship within the hour. If that ship is as dangerous as you claim, said, then we need to understand it before someone else does. The Confederacy has been expanding their territory. If they get their hands on this technology, they could threaten every human world. Maya realized that was not just being greedy. The Admiral genuinely believed she was protecting humanity. But she was about to trigger a disaster that would make the Confederacy look like children playing with toys. Admiral, please, Maya said. Give me one more chance to interface with the ship safely. If I can learn more about its systems, maybe I can find a way to access its technology without damaging it. Consider this. You have 10 minutes. If you can't produce results, we proceed with the cutting operation. Maya nodded and ran back to the scrapyard as fast as she could. The technicians were already powering up their plasma cutters when she arrived. She pushed through the crowd and placed her hand on Vigil's hull. Instantly, the ship came alive. Light poured across its surface in patterns that made the watching humans step backward in fear. The cutting equipment sparked and died as electromagnetic fields surged around the vessel. Stop, Maya shouted to the technicians. It's responding to me. Through their mental link, she felt Vigil's systems reaching full combat readiness. The ship was preparing to lift off and fight its way out of the scrapyard if necessary. Please, she whispered to the ship, give me a chance to show them. Help me prove that cooperation is better than force. Vigil's weapons powered down slightly, though Maya could feel the ship's readiness to defend itself. Very well, Inheritor, but if they attempt to harm me, I will respond with appropriate force. Maya opened her eyes and found Admiral standing right next to her. The woman's face showed wonder and fear in equal measure. Miss, said quietly, I think we need to have a much longer conversation. Maya nodded, still feeling Vigil's consciousness intertwined with her own. Through the ship's sensors, she could detect other awakening signals from across the galaxy. The ancient Sentinel network was coming back to life, and humanity was about to learn that they were not alone in the universe. Yes, Admiral, Maya said. We do, and I hope you're ready for some very bad news about what's coming. The War Council meeting took place in Admiral's flagship 3 days later. Maya sat at a table surrounded by the most powerful military leaders in human space, feeling completely out of place. Through her mental link with Vigil, she could sense the ship orbiting nearby, no longer hidden in the scrapyard but flying free for the first time in 50,000 years. The situation is worse than we feared, General Harrison said, pointing to a star map floating above the table. Red markers showed the locations of colonies that had gone silent. We've lost contact with 7 more systems in the past week. Each one follows the same pattern, all communications stop, then nothing. Maya stared at the red dots and felt sick. Each marker represented millions of lives that had simply vanished. Vigil says this is how the Devourers work. They don't just destroy planets. They erase them from existence, consuming matter and energy and memory itself. Leaned forward. Can this ship of yours stop them? Not alone, Maya admitted. The Sentinel network was designed to work together, but most of the ships have been dead for thousands of years. Vigil can only detect about 30 that are still operational. 30 ships against an invasion force. Harrison laughed bitterly. That's not a fleet, that's a funeral march. Maya felt Vigil's presence in her mind, sharing its own concerns. The ship had been trying to contact its sister vessels for days, but the responses were weak and inconsistent. Too many Sentinels had suffered damage over the... There's something else, Maya said reluctantly. Vigil tells me that activating the full network requires a central coordinator, a living mind that can link all the ships together and direct their actions. His eyes narrowed. You mean someone has to pilot all 30 ships at once? Not pilot, become part of them. The coordinator's consciousness would merge with the Sentinel network permanently. They would stop being entirely human. The room fell silent. Maya could see the calculations happening behind his eyes. 30 alien superweapons could save humanity, but the price was turning someone into something else entirely. Have you told anyone else about this? Asked. No, but I don't think it matters. The other governments are starting to figure things out on their own. As if to prove her point, his communications officer interrupted the meeting. Admiral, we're receiving priority signals from the Confederacy and the Hegemony Council. They're reporting similar ship awakenings in their territory. Nodded grimly, put them through. The holographic display changed to show 2 alien leaders. The first was High Commander Vex of the Confederacy, a reptilian being with scales that shifted color with his emotions. The second was Council Speaker of the Hegemony, who looked like a cross between a spider and a flower. Admiral, Vex hissed, his scales flickering between red and orange. My forces have detected massive energy signatures from dormant vessels in our space. Are these weapons of human construction? No, Commander, replied. They appear to be much older than that. We believe they're part of an ancient defense network. Speaker's flower-like head swayed as she spoke. Defense against what? The energy patterns suggest weapons capable of destroying star systems. Maya looked at, who nodded for her to explain. She took a deep breath and told them everything Vigil had shared with her about the Devourers and the ancient war. By the time she finished, both alien leaders looked as terrified as the humans. You are saying, Vex said slowly, that these entities consumed entire galaxies before being imprisoned by the architects. Yes, and now they're breaking free. The attacks on our colonies are just scouting missions. The real invasion will begin soon. His petals fluttered in what Maya had learned was a sign of extreme distress. How long do we have? Maya consulted with Vigil through their mental link. Weeks, maybe less. The prison dimension is collapsing faster than we expected. The three-way conversation continued for another hour, but Maya found it hard to focus. Through Vigil, she could sense the other Sentinel ships awakening across the galaxy. Each one was calling out, looking for the coordinator who could bring them together into a unified force. When the meeting finally ended, walked Maya back to her quarters. You know what they're going to ask, don't you? The Admiral said. They're going to want me to do it, to merge with the network. Maya had been dreading this moment since Vigil first explained what would be required. Are you willing? Maya stopped walking and looked out at the stars. I keep thinking about my life before all this started. It was simple, boring maybe, but it was mine. If I merge with the Sentinels, I won't be Maya anymore. I'll be something else, something bigger but also less human. But you'd save the galaxy. Maybe. Vigil thinks I can do it, but what if I'm wrong? What if I merge with the network and we still lose? Then humanity loses its best hope and I lose everything I am. Was quiet for a moment. When I was young, I wanted to be a teacher. I loved books and learning and the idea of helping children discover the world. Then the war with the started, and I had to choose between the life I wanted and the life the galaxy needed. Maya looked at her. Do you regret it? Every day. But I don't regret the people I've saved or the peace I've helped build. Sometimes the galaxy asks us to be more than we ever wanted to be. Before Maya could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Its communicator crackled to life with urgent voices reporting impossible readings from the edge of the solar system. "Admiral," came the voice of the sensor officer, "we're detecting massive gravitational distortions near the outer planets. Whatever's coming through is bigger than anything in our databases." Maya felt Vigil's fear and excitement through their mental link. "The Devourers," she whispered. "They're not just sending scouts anymore." Was already running toward the bridge, and Maya followed. They arrived to find the command crew staring at displays that showed something beyond human understanding. The distortions near Neptune were tearing holes in space itself, and through those holes, shapes were emerging. The Devourer ships looked like living things made of shadow and hunger. They moved through space like swimming predators, leaving trails of nothingness behind them. Where they passed, even light seemed to die. "How many?" asked. 12 confirmed contacts, Admiral. Each one is approximately the size of a moon." Maya reached out to Vigil and felt the ship's ancient memories stirring. It had seen these creatures before, during the final battles of the Architect War. "They're just the advance guard," she said. "If we don't stop them here, they'll signal for the main fleet." Turned to her with desperate eyes. "Can your ship fight them?" "Not alone, but with the network." Maya trailed off, knowing what was really asking. Through Vigil, Maya could sense the other Sentinel ships across the galaxy, waiting for someone to unite them. 30 ancient weapons ready to fight, but only if she was willing to sacrifice everything she was. The choice was no longer theoretical. Enemy ships were in the solar system, and humanity's future hung in the balance. "I need to contact the other Sentinels," Maya said. "If I'm going to do this, it has to be now." Nodded. "What do you need?" Maya closed her eyes and reached out through Vigil to touch the minds of 30 ancient guardians. Each one welcomed her with hope and desperate need. "Time," she said. "Just give me time to say goodbye to being human." Maya floated in Vigil's command chamber, surrounded by streams of light that connected her to 30 Sentinel ships across the galaxy. The merger process had begun an hour ago, and already she could feel her human consciousness expanding beyond anything she had imagined possible. Through the sensors of ships thousands of light years away, she watched as Devourer scout fleets attacked colony worlds. The shadow creatures moved like a plague across space, consuming everything in their path. But now, for the first time in 50,000 years, the Sentinels were fighting back. "Status report," she said, though her voice now echoed with harmonics that were not entirely human. 17 Devourer vessels destroyed, came the response from the Sentinel network, which was now as much a part of her as her own heartbeat. "But they are adapting to our tactics faster than expected. They learn from each encounter." Maya felt the truth of this through multiple ship sensors simultaneously. The Devourers were not just mindless destroyers. They were intelligent, and they were getting smarter with each battle. Worse, long-range scans showed thousands more enemy ships massing at the edges of the galaxy. "Admiral, can you hear me?" Maya spoke through Vigil's communication systems. "We're here, Maya," came's voice from the human fleet, "though you sound different now." Maya smiled, though she was no longer sure if the expression showed on her original face or existed only in the network. "I'm still me, just more. Are the evacuation fleets ready?" "As ready as we can make them in 6 hours. Every ship we have is loading civilians from the outer colonies." Maya turned her attention to the tactical display that now existed as much in her mind as on any screen. The Devourer main fleet would arrive within days, and when it did, the combined forces of every galactic civilization would not be enough to stop it through conventional warfare. But the Sentinels were not conventional weapons. "All ships prepare for Network Protocol 7, Maya commanded, accessing knowledge that had been locked away for. "We're going to attempt something that was only theoretical during the Architect War." Through the network, She felt the other Sentinels' surprise and concern. Protocol 7 involved linking all 30 ships into a single massive weapon system. The energy requirements were staggering, and the risks to the coordinator were enormous. "Maya," came Vigil's voice, now speaking to her as one part of herself to another. "If we attempt this protocol, the feedback might destroy your consciousness entirely. You could be lost even if we succeed." "I know," Maya replied. "But look at the numbers. Even working together normally, we can't stop a full Devourer invasion. We need something bigger." She shared her calculations with the network. The Devourers were bringing enough ships to consume the entire galaxy within a year. Only a weapon capable of destroying their dimensional anchor points could stop them permanently. "There is another option," spoke the Sentinel-designated Eternal Watch from halfway across the galaxy. "We could retreat to the galactic core and make our final stand there. Some civilizations might survive." "No," Maya said firmly. "Running means abandoning billions of people to these creatures. That's not what the architects would have wanted, and it's not what humanity stands for." She felt the network responding to her determination. Through her human consciousness, the ancient Sentinel AI systems were remembering what it meant to have hope in the face of impossible odds. "Beginning Protocol 7 initialization," Maya announced. "All civilian fleets, you have 30 minutes to clear the target zone." The next half hour was the longest of Maya's life. She felt her consciousness stretching across impossible distances as the Sentinel ships synchronized their energy systems. Part of her was still the mechanic from station, but other parts of her were ancient guardians who had fought in the First War against the Devourers. Through it all, she maintained her essential humanity. The network wanted to optimize her emotions away, to make her a pure tactical intelligence. But Maya refused. Her feelings, her memories of fixing broken things and finding hope in scrap yards, these were not weaknesses to be discarded. They were the source of her strength. "Devourer main fleet detected," reported the long-range sensors. "Estimate, over 10,000 vessels." Maya watched through multiple viewpoints as the enemy fleet emerged from dimensional rifts near the galaxy's edge. They came like a tide of living darkness, ships that had devoured entire star clusters and grown fat on the death of civilizations. "All Sentinels report ready," she said. "Protocol 7 is active." The 30 ships across the galaxy became points of light in Maya's consciousness. She was the conductor, and they were her orchestra. Together, they began to sing a song of pure energy that echoed across spacetime itself. "Target acquired," Maya announced, firing. The combined power of 30 Sentinel ships, channeled through Maya's hybrid consciousness, reached across the galaxy in an instant. It was not a weapon that destroyed matter. It was something far more fundamental. It unraveled the dimensional anchors that allowed the Devourers to exist in normal space. Maya felt the feedback hit her like a physical blow. Her vision went white, and for a moment she thought she was dying. But then she realized what was happening. She was not being destroyed, she was being transformed. Through the network, she watched the Devourer fleet simply cease to exist. Not destroyed, but unmade, sent back to whatever realm beyond reality they had originally come from. The dimensional rifts they had been using collapsed, sealing them away for another 50,000 years. But the energy cost had been enormous. Half the Sentinel ships had burned out their cores and gone dark forever. Maya felt each loss like losing a piece of herself. "Maya," came Admiral's voice full of concern. "Are you still there?" Maya took a moment to inventory herself. She was changed, certainly. Her consciousness now spanned multiple ships and could think thoughts no purely human mind could contain. But at her core, she was still the curious mechanic who loved solving puzzles. "I'm here," she said, "different but here." "The Devourer fleet is gone, all of it. How is that possible?" Maya smiled through a dozen different sensor arrays. "We didn't just fight them. We sent them home and locked the door behind them. The galaxy is safe." Over the following weeks, Maya learned to live as both human and network consciousness. She could focus her awareness back into her original body when she wanted to experience simple human pleasures, the taste of coffee, the warmth of sunlight on skin. But she could also spread her consciousness across the surviving Sentinel ships to watch over the galaxy. Admiral visited her often, and they talked about the future. The Confederacy and Hegemony Council were already proposing a new galactic alliance, with the Sentinels as protectors rather than conquerors. "Do you miss it?" asked during one of their conversations, "being only human?" Maya considered the question seriously. "Sometimes, but I've gained so much more than I've lost. I can see the entire galaxy healing from the Devourer attacks. I can watch new civilizations being born and help them grow safely. I get to fix things on a cosmic scale." "And you're still you, still the mechanic who believes broken things can be repaired." "Yes," Maya agreed. "That's the most important part. The network gives me power, but my humanity gives me purpose. The architects were right. Consciousness and creativity and hope are stronger than pure force." As left, Maya turned her attention back to her work. There were damaged colonies to rebuild, traumatized populations to help heal, and new species to welcome into the galactic community. The Devourers were gone, but there would always be new challenges. And Maya, human Sentinel hybrid, guardian of the galaxy, was ready for all of them. She had found her true calling not as a conqueror or destroyer, but as someone who fixed broken things and gave hope to those who had lost it. The ancient Sentinel ships continued their eternal watch, but now they did so with human hearts.